Conspiracy theories are a huge danger to the American public.
And social media has increased that danger.
The American Religious Town Hall meeting is now in session.
Welcome, friends, to the American Religious Town Hall meeting, where the discussion of religious, political, and social issues is meant to promote the cause of religious freedom and to help us better understand each other. And now, here is your host and moderator.
Yes, welcome viewers. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrea Luxton. I'm president of Andrews University in Berrien Springs, Michigan, and I am today's moderator. We have a great panel, and I'd like them to introduce themselves to you today.
Hi, I'm Tom Plumley. I'm a minister in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. I serve as senior minister at First Christian Church in downtown Fort Worth, Texas.
Hi, I'm Dan Levin. I serve as senior rabbi at Temple Bethel in Boca Raton, Florida.
Hello, I'm Carl Trovall, and I'm professor of ethics and history at Concordia University in Austin, Texas.
My name is Mel Robeck. I'm an ordained minister with the Assemblies of God, and I've served my church at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California, as senior professor of church history and ecumenics and special assistant to the president at Fuller.
Thank you very much to all the panelists for being here today, and let's look at our topic. In October 2022, a jury ordered Alex Jones, because of his lies, to pay $965 million in damages to the families of the children killed in the Sandy Hook school shootings. This was not the first conspiracy theory Alex Jones began or promoted, yet neither is he the only propagator of conspiracy theories. And for conspiracy theories to take roots and harm other individuals, hundreds of other individuals must believe in them, spread them, and in some cases, act on them. Some of the most egregious conspiracy theories question historic realities, such as the Holocaust. Others assume cover-ups in deaths of prominent individuals, such as President Kennedy, and many surround aliens and UFOs. Some are more harmless than others, yet what all have in common is that a truth is believed without evidence, and in fact often contradicts evidence that does exist. In the case of the Sandy Hook school shootings, the lies resulted in significant harm to families who were assumed to be making up stories of their very real loss. The courts have ruled on the damage done in this case. Yet what of the other conspiracies that are put in front of us daily, often mixed in with what is true? The panelists are asked to consider at least the following questions. As individuals from faith communities who are committed to seeking for truth, how can we help our communities distinguish between conspiracies and truth? Secondly, what do you think individuals such as Alex Jones seek to create by having conspiracies, and why do we too easily believe them? And finally, are there any principles that would protect against the risk of falsely accepting a conspiracy theory as true? Let's get back to those that began our show today. Rabbi.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to address this topic. Conspiracy theories are nothing new. All we have to look back through history is to see conspiracy theories that would accuse Jews of poisoning wells in Europe to create the plague, or conspiracy theories that accused communities of using the blood of Christian children to manufacture matzahs for Passover in ancient times, to modern-day conspiracy theories like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion that purport that there is some council of Jews that are manipulating the world, to other conspiracy theories like the Illuminati, the idea that there are people, an elite group that gather together to try to control the destiny of world markets and other elements of our life, to most recently things like election denialism or QAnon. And these things have real consequences. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion were taken by Hitler and then made to be required reading for German students in the 1930s, which led to the dehumanization of Jewish people and led to the murder of 6 million people, all on the basis of falsehoods. And you look even more recently in Pittsburgh at the Tree of Life massacre, where 11 people were killed by someone who believed in the conspiracy theories of replacement theory, the idea that Jews are deliberately trying to bring immigrants into the United States to replace white citizens. So why do people believe these things? What is going on in our psyche that makes us want to believe these fantastical stories? Well, part of it is that we all, I think, psychologically have to deal with an idea called dissonance, which is when the truth that is really out there is so fundamentally different from the truth we wish it would be, that in order to accept the actual truth that's out there, it would require us to change our own self-definition of ourselves. That is an amazingly hard thing for people to do. And so if somebody offers you another answer that solves all of your dissonance, well, then that is going to sound to be a lot more compelling. So if you're dealing with a world where it seems like everything that you believed in is falling apart, and all the values that you were taught seem to be changing, and the world is shifting under your feet, and someone comes along and says, this is all happening because of those people, but there is a Savior. Tell me if this story sounds familiar. There is a Savior out there who knows what's happening and is going to come and is going to visit vengeance on those who are acting in such depraved, sinful ways. Does that story strike a chord in any of my Christian friends? Right? So what happens with conspiracy theories oftentimes is that they pluck the strings of our faith and then warp it into another direction for their own immediate or political aims. It can be incredibly dangerous. Lives are lost because of conspiracy theories, and we need to do everything we can to debunk them as forcefully and strongly as we possibly can muster.
Thank you very much. Carl.
Yes, I wholeheartedly, completely agree and support everything that you said. That was really well said, Dan. I want to take it a little bit in a different direction, and that is our modern context and what feeds conspiracy theories and how quickly they spread. Before, it was always by word of mouth and by print, but now we have social media that exacerbates the problem. When I was looking at a woman who studied conspiracy theories, her name is Whitney Phillips. She says that there are 3 necessary elements that bring about disinformation and conspiracy theories, at least in our contemporary context. And Dan, you mentioned one of them very clearly, and that is the elements of demonization of the other. You have to find an enemy that explains why you have a national problem or a social problem or a cultural problem, and we have to figure out who it is that's causing this and then demonize that particular group. It could be Jews, it could be the government, it could be immigrants, it could be the liberals, it could be the deep state, it could be, we hear all of these all the time. But essentially it's a group of unwanted people that have somehow undermined our way of life and our belief system. And so it's a creation of fear as well as an undermining of trust. The second element is that you have a sophisticated social media which feeds us information through algorithms that essentially echo precisely the information that we want to get back that confirms what we believe already. So you have an echo chamber essentially that's created, and it gets more and more radicalized. The algorithms get it so that it pushes us further and further in. On YouTube, I sometimes will watch concert videos, and I'm amazed at the kind of grainy, weird concert videos that get fed in my stream. And they're fascinating, but it's like I never would have searched for that raw footage of a particular group in the 1960s. Didn't see them. them, but you get fed similar information in these algorithms. And these are I say they're sophisticated because, for example, if you would type into YouTube black on white crime and you would capitalize white instead of keeping it in lowercase, you begin to be fed white supremacist material in ever more subtle ways. So these algorithms are highly specific, even about capitalizations of the letters you use in your searches. The third piece is that there's an element of essentially the easy spread of information and disinformation. And I think, there's people who deliberately lie. And then there are people who genuinely believe that what they're spreading is the truth, but it's polluted. It's like pollution. It's essentially disinformation. And it's easy to have spread along corrupted information, because here's the thing is it's so easy to do it. And I mean, I admit I've done it myself. I passed along stuff on my texts. I thought, was it true, something that happened because a friend I trusted gave it to me? And another friend said, I don't think that this is true. And I go research it, and in the standard media sites, and lo and behold, it's not true. And then I'm embarrassed. We all probably have done it in some way. And it's critical in the spread of for conspiracies that you are unable to actually figure out what's true and what isn't. The problem is that whatever facts there are never counter the narrative, and thus the narrative continues to be believed. In fact, you can even argue directly against it with evidence, and people double down. And that's why fighting conspiracy theories never works by just trying countering people with facts. I mean, I guess that may be helpful, but a lot of times all it does is create a doubling down effect. And so this ends up being the frustrating thing with conspiracy theories.
Tom?
Yeah, that's where I was going to begin, because the theories tend to be, or those who believe them tend to be very resilient. And so facts don't always work. You can't always fight them with facts. Facts must be a part of the equation. But more, I think, we need to come alongside each other. We need to sit down with each other and ask, why did you first begin to believe this? What was there about this that was intriguing to you, or what hurts? What you're trying to find out is what hurts deep inside that is causing you to believe this, or to grab onto this, because this isn't the case. This isn't real. But to fight with a blunderbuss with another blunderbuss is not going to be helpful. Ultimately, we have to figure out a way to sit down with each other and get them to question their own conclusions, and to evaluate the process by which they got there, it seems to me.
Thank you. Mel?
It's difficult being last on the panel here. Everybody has said what I wanted to say. There's not much I can add to that. I mean, I would say, Jesus says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. When you speak the truth, essentially. Let it be said that you do this thing and you do it. You follow through and so forth. But I think that people who begin these kinds of conspiracy theories really are looking to develop fear and mistrust in a group of individuals, so that they will fit their way of thinking and their way of speaking and so forth. So it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, or maybe there are elements of truth, but they take that and then they move it in a certain direction. And, we saw it in spades in the COVID conspiracies that we heard, and some of it was run by anti-vaxxers, people who simply don't believe in vaccination in any case. I have a brother like that. It's very difficult to talk with them about the need for getting vaccinated and what good vaccinations will. Oh, Dr. Fauci, he just changes his mind almost every day. We get a different story. Well, yeah, science changes. The virus changes. There are all kinds of reasons that we could go with. Libertarians, they don't want people telling them what to do, and they're going to do what they want to do, and so forth. But I think it also boils down to almost every political campaign is full of some kind of a conspiracy theory or an element, a seed for conspiracy theory. If you vote for this person, you're going to lose your rights. If you vote for this person, we're going to be socialists. If you vote for this person, and you can go on down the line. There's a whole list of things. And all of that does is it stirs up fear, and it leads to misinformation, to lies, to exaggeration. I just think that we need to keep our minds open and help our people. I know in my own congregation there are people that are full of certain kinds of fears, and they don't typically get addressed from the pulpit, but as individuals we have the obligation, I think, to speak to people and to help them move past those fears.
I think that part of what makes some of these conspiracy theories so compelling is that they are so sophisticated, and they are deliberately designed to play on our emotions. So if you take QAnon as an example, what is it that QAnon purports? Well, it's like if you could sit around and say, what is the most reviling, emotionally laden sin that you could accuse somebody of? All right, well, sexual abuse of a child. Right? There's nobody that doesn't have a visceral reaction to that. And they take this most repulsive sin that you can imagine and say that those dehumanized others are the ones that are doing that. So if you subscribe on with us, you are actually a part of a crusade for good. Well, who doesn't want to be part of a crusade for good? And then it employs all kinds of elements of game technology to help you feel even more invested, right? So you search out different web channels and chats to look for clues, right? Well, that's a game, right? And it's a compelling game. And you bring people using game technology and playing on their emotions, and all of a sudden you have people who are believing in something that's really nefarious. And then what happens? Somebody grabs a gun and heads off to a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. to try to do good, right? Yeah. When, of course, there was no thing there to begin with. I think what we have to be really careful, though, is that I think religious people sometimes are most susceptible to conspiracy theories. Because we who live in the community of faith have gotten to a place where we are willing to stake our belief on things that we cannot prove. That's what faith is.
That's what faith is.
Right? Faith is when you say, I believe in this, I can't prove it, but I know it to be true. So I think we who live in the faith community have to be extra sure that we are doing what we can to ensure that that in which we place our belief is that which is truly the truth.
Thank you. Tom, you had something to say?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question of the rest of you guys. How do we not let the loudest mouth always win? I want to say follow the money, but not all these people are being paid for what they do. But that's at least a good start. If you can find out who's sponsoring, who's paying for, and then not buy their products. Bring to light the lies that they're telling. Bring people out of their hovels and their homes, their basements. Bring them out of the darkness into the light and let them walk with the rest of the community and talk with the rest of the community. And I think some things like that can help us overcome some of this. But we need to understand this is a problem that is on the forefront of the minds of all of us who are trying to keep this society from falling apart. I think there's some very real there is some very real potential for falling into autocratic behaviors. Not only in small circles, but in our entire nation.
Thank you. I mean, in a moment we're going to go for a break, and maybe after we come back, we need to focus on that. You know, is this just hopeless? You know, is this so big we can't grasp hold of it? Can we actually do anything with it? Let's just take a break.
We hope you're enjoying today's program. If you'd like to learn more about the American Religious Town Hall, please visit our website at americanreligious.org. That's americanreligious.org. There you can read about the vision and history of the program, and we invite you to become a ministry partner, explore our Town Hall Estates healthcare facilities, and view past programs by clicking the appropriate menu buttons. Each week, we look forward to receiving your letters. You may write us at the address shown on your screen. Send your letters to American Religious Town Hall Meeting, P.O. Box 180118, Dallas, Texas 75218. If you have a prayer request, please send it to prayerrequest@americanreligious.org. Thank you for writing and thank you for watching. Now, back to today's closing statements.
Welcome back, viewers, to a very important topic today. The first half of our program really focused on the huge, significant challenges to all of us with the conspiracy theories that go around and how really our lives are being manipulated. So let's go to the closing thoughts of our panelists.
Thank you. I think we all have a responsibility in regard to the quashing of conspiracy theories. There are really only small percentages on either end of the spectrum that pass these things along or that create these things. But there are the rest of us in the middle, the great percentage of us tend to be the spreaders. Conspiracy theories arise out of something deep inside that needs to be cared for, and I would encourage us to be more caring of each other, and to take care of each other. Walk alongside someone who is speaking one of these theories, and ask them how they came to believe the way they did. Ask them to walk you through the evidence. The goal being then that they begin to question the evidence, the basis upon which they came to the conclusions that they came.
Thank you. Dr. Strobel.
Going back to the very beginning about the dissonance of the individual experiences, I think that what you suggested, Tom, is important, that we enter into relationship with people, because it's hard for people who are in a tribe to move to a different tribe. To use it, or to one community to another community. And the only way that really happens is when we befriend and we enter into relationships and we have conversations. And they may be challenging for us to listen to, but I think it is about entering into those relationships and trying to create, using the media to try to solve the problem, I think there still has to be truth out there, but that isn't going to solve the problem. It's going to be in relationships. I also think our faith communities need to teach epistemology. I know that's a big word in philosophy, but epistemology is the science of how do you know what you know, that what you know is really in fact the case. And I think that we need to have more sophisticated ways of actually talking about truth and how to understand it, and how you distinguish even truth from fact, or truth from emotion.
Right. One only needs to think about Putin's Russia and the control of vocabulary, the control of words, the control of news. We value freedom of speech, and I would not want to take that away. But we do have limits on that freedom of speech. One cannot yell fire in a crowded room unless there's actually a fire and get away with it. I wonder if some kind of legislation could be put through so that speech that has the potential of killing people, misinformation, lies, exaggerations that have that potential, that can be scientifically verified, that kind of speech could also be made unlawful alongside yelling fire in a crowded room.
In the Pirkei Avot, in the Talmud, the rabbis say the world stands on three things: al ha'emet v'hal hadin ve'al ha'shalom, on truth, on justice, and on peace. And the fact is that falsehoods and lies can fundamentally destroy a world. And history is replete with example after example after example where falsehood destroys entire civilizations and causes humanity to do the most destructive acts imaginable. And so it's important that we try our best to adhere to the commandments, do not follow false gods, and to do what we absolutely can to try to strengthen our minds. I think sometimes the reason we want to believe the big lie is because it's convenient. It makes us so we don't have to think that hard. We don't have to dig that hard. We don't have to confront uncomfortable truths. In order for a society to really achieve greatness, it requires you to be able to say, yeah, this is uncomfortable, this is difficult, we have work to do. But if we don't actually name the work that needs to be done, then society will become stagnant and will never become what it is that together we could ultimately fashion as a community, as a people, as a nation.
Thank you very much. A great conversation. You know, one thing that struck me as I was listening to this was the irony that we're in an individualistic country, and yet what these conspiracy theories do is actually kind of undermine who we are and allow us to agree a lie, which makes no sense if we really are interested in really being ourselves. I would like to, from the point of view of an educator as well, it seems, going back to your comment, Carl, about epistemology, I think it's not just in the philosophical realm, but in when we teach communication, when we teach so many things, to actually help people unpackage what is happening in front of them so they can actually make decisions and see what is happening. Because no one wants to be manipulated, okay? But yet they are being. So how can we help people understand what is actually going on for themselves? The Charter of the American Religious Town Hall provides that Roman Catholics, Protestants, Jews, educators, and others may appear on this program and can declare their beliefs without hesitancy. And the rest of the members of the panel will uphold and guarantee that American right to all who will appear, irrespective of race or creed, so that the rest of the world can see that here in America we believe in civil and religious freedom, not only in theory but in reality. So now, friends, until next week at the same time and over the very same channel, the American Religious Town Hall meeting stands adjourned. And may the God of all of us bless all of you.